Because this is the conundrum that people have when they come to the internet and their goal is, I want to make money online. It's like, how do I make as much money as fast as I can? And they have a very short-term focus because they're like, I need to just replace my income, which is a great goal, rather than think about, I need to replace my income, but I want it to be so secure and I want to build a really good brand and make a really good impact and have all these other goals. And I get where people are at. I was there in the survival phase of needing to get out of that 9 to 5 thing. So I definitely understand the energy towards trying to make as much money as possible as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But the long game is very important, and Google is really knuckling down and identifying this. And this is what bigger brands and better businesses do. Is this will probably loop back into some of the stuff about the helpful content update as well, is that if you're less aggressive on trying to extract money as soon as possible and more aggressive on, maybe you do have 8 topical authority articles to 1 and you're just making a big impact, there's a couple of things that can happen there. Google can see that, all right, you're not just trying to just get as much money from people as quickly as they can after they come out of Google or come from Google. You're adding so much value to them. And then what can happen in your business is, because you're adding so much value, the trust builds, the relationship builds, that it becomes a no-brainer that, like, when they see your article on the best fishing rods, they've just read 8 articles or maybe 3 or 5 from you and just got so much value that they would be silly not to go to your recommendations, right? Is that what you're seeing with the helpful content update? Or we can unpack that as well.
Yeah.
I guess.
No, there's I think a couple of threads there to unpack. So I am of the belief that the way that Google's algorithm works currently can be best centered around what I'll call user engagement signal, even though it's not specifically that. Some SEOs will fight me tooth and nail to say that Google does not use user engagement signal. They use, a variety of different factors that allude to whether or not the user found what they needed. And I'm just going to simplify that and say Google uses user engagement signal. So essentially what you could imagine Google is doing is that Google is running an infinity A/B test. If you don't know what an A/B test is, it's literally, in its simplest way, you serve one user one variant of something. And we'll just say, for this example, you have a landing page and there's a blue button and it says sign up. And then you have another landing page that has a red button and it says sign up. Everything else is identical. And an A/B test literally then presents this data over a wide amount of users until it finds statistical significance in that the people click more on the red button rather than the blue button, in which case you can declare that the blue button or the red button is more satisfactory and will generate higher click-through rates. So that's an A/B test in simplicity. You can imagine when I say infinite A/B test, a search engine results page is literally a page that has usually 10 slots of search results. And you can imagine, for the sake of simplicity, we'll just say there's rank number 1 and rank number 2. Rank number 1 is going to be, bestfishingrods.com, and rank number 2 is going to be REI. So in, this variant, we have bestfishingrods.com, rank number 1, REI, rank number 2, and Google is going to present that to a set of users who Googled best fishing rods. Google's going to see, okay, how many people are clicking on result number 1, and then subsequently going back to the search results and clicking on result number 2, in which case SEOs might call this pogo sticking, but jumping around, right, in different search results. And they're going to say, okay, well, let's say for this particular example, 40% clicked on result number 1, and then 50% clicked on result number 2. Well, Google's going to say, well, all right, that REI thing, Lots of people want that. So why don't we have an experiment where we're going to put REI as rank number 1 and best fishing rods as rank number 2? And then you see like 60% click on REI, 30% click on best fishing rods. And now Google says, okay, great. Well, then REI deserves to be number 1 because, right, more people are clicking on it, and then less people are subsequently going back to Google and doing something else. The going back to Google and doing something else is exactly the point that Google's actually looking at. Google's come out and say, okay, we don't care about click-through rates. We don't care about pogo sticking. But what they've been, I think, pretty much like saying is that they care about subsequent actions. So you can imagine they care if somebody clicks on page 2. Like, oh, maybe that page 1 was not good. They care if somebody clicked on images. That's how you see an image carousel graduate into the slot of 10. They care if somebody clicks on videos. That's how you see a video carousel graduate into the slot of 10. And they care about all of the subsequent searches. So if I search best fishing rod, I clicked on result number 1, clicked on 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I went back to Google and said best fishing rods under 200. Google's going to know that and say, okay, maybe in the future for best fishing rods, I should include one result that comes from best fishing rods under 200, right? If there's enough people that do that. So topical authority basically speaks to this fact that should somebody perform an additional search, your content is there and serving the user, and Google knows that, right? So I might have started with different types of fishing rods, and then REI came up, and that's great. And then I typed in best fishing rods, and then REI came up again. And Google's saying, okay, this brand and website knows how to write about fishing rods, so they deserve all of these different positions surrounding it because, right, it's doing a good job meeting the needs of the searcher. So that's like one part of what you were talking about.